Perhaps we could discuss the purpose of a Krishnamurti school?
Yes, sir. What do you think means, what does it mean to be educated? And why should we be educated? For what reason? Is education, the meaning of that word education means to draw out, to pull out. I don't know what it means, but it doesn't much matter what that word means. You know, in a place like this, or in schools in India which we are concerned with, and also one in England, and one in California and here, what is important, it seems to me, is to understand what freedom means, what authority means, and what does it mean to learn. Now we go into that more or less, that's what's implied, isn't it? The word school comes from the root meaning of that word is leisure, to have leisure. Leisure means a mind that is unoccupied, not filled up with lots of worries, personal, etc., etc., etc. So, to learn, the mind must be free, must have time to learn, must have leisure to learn, must have a mind that is not completely occupied. That's the meaning, because it's only when you have a great deal of leisure, we're going to discuss that word very carefully, that one can learn. So there are several things involved in it. What do we mean by leisure? And what do we mean by learning? I don't know if you have not noticed. If you have not sufficient time, curiosity, a sense of inquiry, you can't learn, right? You must have curiosity, interest, and time for that interest to flower, to grow, to multiply, to increase, right? Right? Please, let's talk it over together. I'm not laying down the law. I'm not an authority. And I mean it. We'll go into that very carefully presently. So we mean by that word leisure to have plenty of time for that curiosity to flower and so learn. But you have no leisure or time if you are not free to inquire. If your mind, if your thinking is not all the time occupied with something or other, with play, with teasing each other, with food, with, all kinds of thoughts that come into your mind. When that mind is not filled with all these thoughts, then you have certain amount of leisure in which to learn, right? Have I made that word leisure clear? It doesn't mean that you pick up a book or wander off into the woods or read something to be occupied. Go out and play. As they used to say in England in the old days, when I used to be with some of them, it's a lovely day, let's go out and kill something. So, unless you have this sense of leisure, a mind that is not occupied with yourself, with your pleasure, with your hair, with your face, with your color, with your height, with your beauty, whether you are not this, you are not that. If it is not occupied, it's capable of learning, right? The word school comes from from the root of leisure, to have plenty of leisure in which to learn, right? We'll discuss this. Then it also implies to learn there must be freedom, right? Now what does freedom mean? I know what we like it to mean, to do anything we like to do. Right? To go out on a lovely day like this, to go on this river or walk or play or do anything but study. Do everything that we want to do. That's what we consider generally freedom. Is that so? Does that imply freedom to do what one likes? This is an immense question, you understand? This is just a schoolboy question. It concerns, this idea of freedom concerns the whole world. Grown-up people, young people, educators, scientists, philosophers, everyone is concerned with this word freedom. Even the Russians in the Soviets in Russia don't use that word, but the dissidents who are against the government are talking about freedom. Even in religions, especially in the East, the idea of freedom exists enormously. So we must find out what that word means, right? What does it mean to you?
Well, freedom means to me that, like, if someone is free inside, like, they're sort of free from possessions and stuff.
I don't quite follow.
So, like, you're free to just,
Does freedom mean to you to do what you like?
yeah.
Yes, of course. Generally what it means. Anybody who stands in the way of what you want to do is called authoritarian, right? I want to do something, and you come along and prevent me from doing, and you say you are preventing me from acting in freedom. Then you become the authority, the dictator, the tyrant, the parent, and so on, right? So does freedom mean to do what you want to do, whatever you like to do? Now, in the West, that includes Europe, America, and so on, in the West, freedom generally implies that each individual, you as a separate human being, are free to choose what you want to do, free to move from town to town, from job to job, from individual enterprise, and so on, so on. That is generally what is considered freedom in the West. I'm putting it very, very, in a very limited way. We'll go into it presently. And opposed to that, there is the whole communist world, the world like of Russia, China, and the Eastern Europe say that's nonsense. We are the state. The people, human beings in that state, the citizens, must be controlled. So they have no choice. They can't go from job to job, from town to town, do anything. They must follow the rules or the pattern laid down by the authority of this Politburo. That's the highest governing body, right? So that these two systems, you understand all this? One, totally opposed to individual freedom to do whatever they want to do. They can't read any book they want to read. They can't speak freely about their politics, criticize their government, and so on. Whereas in the West, including all America and Western Europe, each individual thinks he can do what he likes, right? Go from job to job, from town to town, leave one thing, go on to another. Free enterprise, it's called. So that these two enormous blocks of systems, right? You understand this? Of course, you know all about it. So, each has its own complications, its own misery, its own confusion. The West says freedom means choice, to choose what you like, right? And in the tyrannical, totalitarian states, you can't choose. Government chooses for you. You must work in that factory for the rest of your life. You must go to certain university, and if you are not good there, then you become a laborer, and so on. It's all a compulsive society there. Understood? Here, one thinks one is free. To start a school like this, you can't do that in the totalitarian states. So this is considered generally freedom. Understood, right? Now, we are going to question what is freedom. Is this freedom? To do what one likes, choose what one likes, the job, the profession, the career. And the other world, they say, you don't choose for yourself, we choose it for you. You understand? So there are these two systems of governments, economic, social, and all the rest of it. So leaving those two systems aside for the moment, we'll ask ourselves, what is freedom? What is actually freedom? Are you free? You can do what you like, but are you free? Free, not physically free, understand? That's one side of the question, we'll go into it. There is physical freedom and inward freedom, right? The psychological, which is the inward freedom, and physical freedom, the outward freedom. Understood? Right. In the Western world, you are physically free. right? But inwardly, aren't you all slaves? Because we imitate, we conform, we are traditional, we are afraid, all that is inwardly, we are in a prison. But outwardly, we can go and do what you like. I wonder if you get this, right? You can leave the school and go off to another school. Leave a particular job and go to another job, right? Whereas in the totalitarian states, physically you can't do all that. Psychologically you can do what you like, because it doesn't matter. Think what you like, but don't put it into words. You understand? Here, you are physically free. You want to go to Vancouver school, you will ask the parents and they send you there, if the parents are willing, and so on and on. So we're asking, what is real, what does it mean to be free? Not only biologically, physically, but also inwardly. What does it mean to be free? You're going to a little more, let's go into it very slowly, step by step. You see, mathematics, you know something about mathematics is sequence, isn't it? One thing after another. If there is no proper sequence, there is disorder, right? So let us be sequential, not jump to something or other. Let's go step by step in sequence, so that at the end we'll be perfect. We know where there is order, right? So, what do we mean by freedom? Does freedom mean to have no authority? There is the authority of the policeman. Keep to the, what is it? Here it is keep to the right, isn't it? Or left? Right. In Europe, it is still right? Keep to the right. In England, keep to the left when you are driving a car. If you disobey and drive to the right, you might hurt yourself and kill somebody. So you obey. Right? That is, you obey you obey because you might hurt others, you might hurt yourself, which is order. Right? Right? You're clear on this point? That is, obeying government law, like keeping to the right, left in England, and right in the rest of the world. No, America too, don't you? Right. Oh Lord, I forgot. It's only in England then. Huh? And India, of course. Probably they'll all change, everybody will be driving right presently. There is the authority that if you don't pay tax, they'll punish you in different ways. So you have to follow that. So, where there is disorder, The very disorder creates authority. Right? Understood? Is that clear? During, you have heard of Mussolini, some of you? Of course. He came into power because Italy was totally in disorder. Trains were not running properly, luggage was stolen, tram cars didn't run properly, buses didn't, and so on. Gradually, Mussolini came into power. Out of disorder, he was created. Taking a school of this kind, if there is disorder, each one doing what he likes, turning up when you like for meals, getting up when you like, and disorder, then you are responsible for creating authority. Swallow that pill. Right? So, authority exists when there is disorder. When there is order, there is no authority. Huh? I'm not asking you to be an orderly. We're going to examine first what that word order and disorder means, right? As we said, in the Western world, there is disorder according to the totalitarian states. Because everybody gets up at a certain time, everybody goes to the same work, everybody follows. But here, the democratic world is struggling through mess. In the totalitarian world, there is no mess, but there is a complete authority. The authority has created order, but that authority came out of disorder. You got it? You understand this? Right? So, freedom implies, doesn't it, that inwardly as well as outwardly, as long as there is complete order, there is no authority. Right? If everybody in this world behaved properly, honestly, there would be no government. Right? Because we're also terribly dishonest, terribly selfish. The government says, look, this is impossible. Right? So, where there is disorder, each one doing what he likes, coming to meals when you like, going to bed when you like, attending class when you like, and so on, which is disorder in a small community like this, then out of this disorder, somebody says, please, for God's sake, let's organize this. Do you understand? And that creates authority. Right? Is this clear? When I am disorderly, you are going to be the authority which I have created. Then I rebel against that authority, not realizing that I have created it. Do you understand this? So there is a battle between the authority in myself, the authority being I who have created it. Got it? Do you understand this? So, order means, does it mean order following somebody? Does order mean obeying? Does order mean following a routine, a mechanical routine. I get up every morning at 6, do yoga. I don't know if you do yoga here. 6, and I won't break that under any circumstance. 6. You follow routine. Is that order? So I have to find out what is order. Right? What is order? And go into it slowly, step by step. First, physically. If your room, if you don't put your socks in the proper place, your dress in the proper place, your shoes in the proper place, and your handkerchief in the proper place, and so on, when you want to put on socks, you search all over the place. Right? Waste of time, waste of energy. Right? Whereas if you put everything in its proper place, there is no disorder. You don't waste time. You know where your socks are exactly. You go to that, where you are, and so on. Right? So, doesn't order mean both outwardly and inwardly to put everything in its right place? Right? Inwardly, to put everything in its right place. Think it out, what it means. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't say this is so. Go into it, examine it, explore. What does it mean to put everything in its right place inwardly? Which is called psychological. One needs money, right? But if money becomes the whole world, if money is the only thing in my life, I put money not in its right place. Right? You get it? And what is the other things we're so crazy about? Money. I won't go into sex because you're too. Money. Then what?
Sex.
What?
Sex.
My golly, you know. Sex, all right. Why has the world made sex so important? You understand? You see, pick up a magazine, pick everything. Sex. Huh?
It's all around us. It's all around us.
All around you. And it is so, it fills the world, right? Why? Why has sex become so colossally important? Probably after money, that's the greatest thing in the world. Put everything in order. You follow? That's what we're doing. We said money. When money becomes the whole, all my life, I'm only seeking money all my life. It's out of place, isn't it? There are other things in life too. So if sex fills all my world, it's out of place. But why has man, human beings, have made that into such enormous, glorified, all-fulfilling existence? Think it out.
One thing is it gives the most pleasure to most people.
Right?
It gives more pleasure
Is that it?
Also, it makes one feel more secure.
No, they just go step by step, step by step. I won't not jump to something. There is the physical pleasure of it, right? So, pleasure has filled the world. Pleasure has become the most important thing. Whether it's sex, whether it is the pleasure that when you have a lot of money you can do what you like. Pleasure of, buying this, possession, that, houses, furniture, lovely carpets and yachts and, pleasure. Right? And when you block that pleasure, whether it's sexual pleasure, or the pleasure of money, pleasure of possession, there is antagonism, a sense of unfulfillment. So you get angry, you become violent, you become neurotic, right? So, why can't we put sex in its proper place? Not fill the whole of my existence with that one thing. You understand? Which is a very, very difficult thing to do. So we say, don't bother about it. It's difficult. The best thing, the thing to do is whatever gives you pleasure, do it. Get on with it. Don't make a lot of fuss about it. With the result, there is disorder, right? With married people, with unmarried people, if that's the only thing in life that fills their life, they are bound to be disorder. Entendu ça? C'est compris? Bien? Allez-y. So, we said money, sex, what else is there? Which, if we don't put them in their proper place, there is disorder. Agree? As if you don't put your socks, dresses, shirts, and all the rest of it in proper place, there is disorder in your room. And somebody comes around and says, please put those things in your drawer, in your proper place. You get angry. You say you have become authoritarian. Right? So it is your fault, not somebody has become the authority. I don't know, if, say for instance, if we all agreed to go to bed at 10, or whatever it is, 8 or 9 or 10, whatever you decide, and you don't go to bed after we all agreed that you would go to bed at 8 or 9, 10, somebody says, oh, please, you have sat up 3 nights now beyond the agreed time, then you turn around and say, look, I thought it's a free school and you're telling me what to do. You have become the authority. You follow? And you turn up when you like to lunch or breakfast or dinner, which is a discourtesy to the people who prepare food, and we all agreed 1 o'clock, or 7 o'clock, or 6 o'clock in the evening, or 8 o'clock in the morning. And when you don't come there at the proper time agreed upon, then you follow the sequence of it? the sequence of it, not somebody is authoritarian. You or we, if there is no order in our life, we are creating politically, religiously, ethically authoritarian people. Got it? Now, so we see money, sex. What else is there that man is pursuing? Pleasure, we said sex. Pleasure in various forms.
Power.
Good, power. Political power, power over people, power over, if your ideas are better than mine, you become powerful. If you have paint better than me, you become famous, more money, more pleasure. So, money, sex, power. Now, what do you mean by power? In a family, mother, father, children, the mothers and the fathers assume the power, status of power, right? They tell you what to do or what not to do, right? And generally in the West, they are rebelling against all that. In India, they are too docile. The children say, all right, we'll do whatever you want me to do. That's part of their enormous tradition, that you must obey the parents, you must worship the parents, you must listen to the parents. When the parents speak, don't speak. And so on, so on, so on. That is, in the East. They are conditioned to that, right? So they obey according to their conditioning. Here, you have not that kind of conditioning. So what do we mean by power? Man over woman, power. Or the woman over the man. That means dominating him, bullying him or her. Say, I possess you, man or woman. That gives him a power. So beyond that, what do we mean by power? Beg pardon?
Who decides the criteria for order?
I can't make out here.
Who decides the criteria for order?
Nobody decides. Suppose we all agree that we go to bed at 8 o'clock or 10, 9, whatever it is. We all agree. Where is the criterion for order? We say, yes, that's good for you to go to bed at 8 or 9, whatever we decide, because you're growing, you have to have proper rest. A doctor says you must have 8 to 9 hours of sleep. It's excellent for you. And so because mind, we won't go into what is the reason you should go to bed at 9, to rest the mind, and we won't go into all that for the moment. We all agree. Then what is the need for criteria? It's only when you oppose, and I want to say, you must go to bed, because I'm in authority, I'm the boss of the school or somebody, principal of the school, I said, you must go to bed at 8. What I say then becomes the criteria, isn't it? Criteria. So here, we say, let's all talk it over together. Right? Let's all be sensible. Let's all find out why you should go to bed at 8 or 9 or 10, whatever it is. Let's all agree that we have lunch at 1 o'clock. Because of convenience and so on, so on, so on. And it's only when we have agreed and you don't do something, then I say, please, you have agreed. And you, because you react and say you become authoritarian and rebel against what we have agreed. Right? So, we said, we are asking, what do we mean by power? There is power of money, right? Tremendous power. Or position, a status. The Prime Minister of a country is tremendous power. Or the general, the admiral, the first-class engineer, or first-class professor. He says, I know, you don't, I'll tell you. You follow all this? So, a profession, a career, can give you tremendous power if you're good, if you're excellent, if you're capable, if you're, you climb the ladder of power. And each person wants to climb that ladder of power. It gives him money, it gives him freedom, it gives him control over people. Right? So, also what do we mean by power? Go into it.
Manipulation.
People?
Manipulation.
Yes, that's part of it. When I'm climbing the ladder of power, I can manipulate people. I say, you go around there. And you say, by Jove, I also want to climb the ladder. Yeah, right. So, power, the desire for power is manipulating people. Not you are manipulating me. My desire to have the same power as you have is manipulating you and me. Desire for power. No, you understand what I'm saying? The desire for power is manipulating, not you as as Mr. X and me as Y. Manipulating you or you manipulating me. The desire for power is manipulating you as well as me. You got it? So we say, money. One may say, I don't want money, but I want power. I don't mind about sex, but as long as I have power, it's all right. As long as I have status. When I come to the room, everybody gets up, because I'm the Prime Minister or the Bishop or the Cardinal or the Pope. Right? And there's much more to power than merely this. There's the desire to be somebody. Right? Don't go to sleep yet. If you're bored, let's stop. So there's power in possession. Right? If I own 10,000 acres, woof, that gives me tremendous power in a society that accepts ownership of land. Right? And most of us are seeking power through success. Write a good book or a good novel, a thriller, and and it is taken by the cinema, you become a very rich man, power. So, and if you say, every human being is driven by this desire to be somebody. Right? Right? This somebody means money, sex, status, power. And to have great deal of knowledge about mathematics, history, or world, that gives me an excellent position, and I have power in that. So knowledge gives power. I wonder if you realize all this. But I must have knowledge. But desire for power is stronger than putting knowledge in its right place. Right? So I have to... Are you following all this? Does it interest you? So then we said sex, money, sex, power. Then, what man is seeking? Knowledge. Right? From books, from experience, from going to lectures, hearing this and hearing that. So, there is the accumulation of knowledge gives me great sense of success, gives me power. If I'm a professor of not only mathematics but also first class in geography, economy, and philosophy and law, and my goodness, there's a great sense of inward power as well as outward power. So, knowledge, when used by desire, which seeks power, then knowledge becomes a means of disorder. I wonder if you're following all this. You got it? Somebody got it? I'll show you. We are talking about disorder, which is when if we don't put everything in their right place, naturally there is disorder. That simple principle. I mean, it's like gravity. You don't have to accept it, but it's a fact. Jump out of the window, you'll see what happens. So in the same way, if you don't put everything in order, socks, shoes, then there is disorder. So if you don't put money in its proper place, but money becomes all important, then that creates disorder, which is happening in this country, in America. I'm in Canada, yes, I do. When I don't put sex in its proper place, it assumes disordinate proportions, enormous significance. You follow? If I don't put power, which is desire, wanting power, position, prestige, reputation. I'm not satisfied having a reputation locally in a little pot, but I want world reputation. So, power has power any place at all. You understand? Power, which is the desire to become or be or achieve something great which will give me power. A man who is capable, who has got executive capacity, That's all right in its place. But when he uses that as a means to power, then it creates disorder. You're following this? I wonder, is this too much? No?
How do we find out how to put things in their right place? How do we find out?
We are doing it now. If we don't see that there will be total disorder if there is no right place for everything. If I don't see that, then of course you like putting your room in total disorder. So if I learn the principle, the law, that by putting everything in its order, in its place, there is complete order. So I have to learn what are the right places. Learn, not be told. So I have to learn what is the right place for money. Of course, very simple. Right? I have to learn about it. If you tell me that's the right place and I obey it, that's disorder. Are you following this? Then I'll fight you. Say you become the authority. I want to put my socks in that place. And there's a battle. So, if I understand the basic rule, basic principle, like gravity, that if I jump out of the window, I'll hurt myself tremendously. The higher the window, the more dangerous it is. That's a law. In the same way, there is this principle, this law, that if we do not put everything in its right place, there is disorder. And out of that disorder comes authority, which we have created. Clear? So, have to learn to put money in its right place. Can you? Will you learn about it? Learn. Inquire. Find out. Not say, well, I must. Right? Sex in the right place, and not let your universe be filled with sexual thoughts and pictures and all. And also power. The desire for power, through knowledge, through money, through sex. You understand? All this is creating disorder. Socially, in the world, you see around us what a mess it all is. They are preparing for war and say, let's talk about peace. They go to church and they'll say, whatever they do in church, I know what they do, because you must have seen it too, about pray for peace and talk about priest and father and all the rest of it, and you do exactly opposite in daily life. That means nothing. There is total sham, total dishonesty. So have we, you and I, learned to put everything in its proper place? Then we'll have, then there is freedom. Both inwardly and outwardly. You follow? You understand? Nobody is to tell me, do this, don't do this. So we said, There are plenty of trees here, aren't there? Unlike California. Spring is nearly over there. Here, just beginning. As you go north, once I was in Sicily, you know where Sicily is, and spring had begun there. Beautiful it was. Mimosa and all kinds of flowers and beauty. And then I came gradually north and began and ended up in Holland. And there, just beginning. So, freedom implies, that's again a law, like gravity, implies in freedom, there is freedom only when there is order. Not created by governments, not created by police state, not created by some utopian idiocy. You understand? But brought about because each one of us has put everything in order. Right? Will you do it? That's part of education. Not merely to learn mathematics and geography, but to learn in a school of this kind where everything is in order, inwardly and outwardly. You know what gives, then you are such an extraordinary human being. You are a free human being. Not muddled, confused, angry, bitter, you follow, disappointed and which you will be if you don't learn this now. So what is the function of an educator, the teacher, and the student? You understand my question? No? What is the relationship between the teacher, the educator, and you, the student? Is he merely telling you the facts about history? Especially Canadian history. Or if you're in America, only American history. So we're asking, what is the relationship between the educator, the teacher, and you, the student? So I said, what is the function of a teacher and you? Is he merely giving facts about mathematics, history, geography, and chemistry, and biology, and so on? He knows and you don't know. He sits on a pedestal, you are down there. Is that it?
Are you asking about here?
Huh?
Are you asking how it is here?
I'm asking not only how it is here, but generally. First, let's begin generally, much simpler, and then we come here. Safer. Then you won't throw bricks at me. Go on. What's the relationship between the teacher and the student generally in the world that's all over all around us. There is no relationship at all, is there? Huh? Huh? Don't agree with me. For goodness sake.
In the outside schools, the teacher is the one who knows.
Yes, he sits on a platform and tells you what to do for an hour, and then he buzzes off to another class, and you rush off to another class. This goes on. Right? He's telling you what, he's informing you. He's telling you about mathematics, how to, history. So he's telling you all that. He's telling you facts. At least facts according to his knowledge, which he has learned from books or from a professor. The professor has learned from someone and so on. Right? Now what, in that relationship, what takes place?
Usually the student has to respect the teacher because he's on a higher level.
Yes, a higher level, you respect him or you're frightened of him. So, no, frightened. No, don't. The word respect isn't, can't use when you're frightened. So, then what takes place? There is no relationship. Right? Now, the teacher, I'm not talking about teachers here, we'll come to that presently. I hope you'll forgive me. The teacher in an ordinary school lives in disorder, obviously, according to the principle we have agreed. Right? When you don't put everything in its right place, there is disorder. That's a law. That's a principle, like gravity. Now, most teachers, unless they're extraordinarily exceptional, live in disorder, right? Like they are human beings, only their career or their profession is to teach, right? So what, you are in disorder, and the teacher is in disorder, right? You following this? So, he talks about mathematics, which is sequentially orderly, and you learn that, which is gather information, store it in the brain, and later on, if you want to be an engineer, you use that knowledge in mathematics, pressure, strain, and all the rest of it. But really an excellent teacher really, first class, not just first class human being, more than a teacher. Teacher is just a career, but a human being. If such a teacher says, he becomes a teacher, then his relationship with you is, he says, I'm disorderly, my friends, you are disorderly. So let us find out how to put everything in its right place. You understand? Then you and I have a relationship. I don't sit on a platform and say, well, do this, don't do that, and all the rest of it. But I say, look, I live disorderly. I know I do. I may be outwardly most extraordinarily orderly. Put the books in the right place, my socks in the right place. But inwardly I'm boiling, disorderly, wanting money, disorderly. So if I was a teacher, I would come and say, look, let's forget for a moment mathematics or history or geography. I am in disorder and you are in disorder. Let's find out if we can learn to put things in order. In myself also. I'm not telling you to do it. But by talking it over with you, I'm also learning. So learning becomes the common factor between us. Learning where to put things in their proper place. Right? Will you do all this? Is it time?
5 after 12.
How long do you want me to go on? I know, not as long. No. You can't take more than a certain amount. What is the general rule or general agreement? That I go on for the rest of, till lunchtime? No. When is lunchtime?
Lunch is at 1, but maybe if we could go on till 12:30.
Do you want to? Huh? You're not tired? No, you won't insult me. You won't. I'm nobody. He said, "No, buzz off." I said, "Buzz off." You want me to go into all this? Enough?
No.
Oh, go on. All right. So if I was a teacher here in this school, that is one of the major things I would do. I would establish my right relationship between you and me. It cannot exist if I am on the platform, merely on the platform, telling you fact, and go off. But whereas, if I would establish right relationship with you, say, look, we are both in the same boat. Which is, I am willing to expose myself to you. You understand? And you are willing to expose yourself to me. Not just one-sided. Say, look, we both live in disorder, confusion, uncertainty. We are both unhappy, or both miserable. So let's be free of all that. That means, right? And in talking it over with you, I am also putting myself inwardly in order. I will see to it. I mean, it's like gravity. If I don't, I fall down. If I've understood that very, very deeply as a tremendous fact in life, an absolute fact, not fact one day, not fact another day, an absolute irrevocable fact, law, then in talking over with you, I say, all right, let's both do it. I'm helping you, you are helping me. Then there is an extraordinary relationship between us. Then I'm concerned about you. And you're concerned about me. I care for you, and you care for me because you say, by yourself, are you all right? And I care about you. I say, are you eating properly? Have you got the right food? Why do you dress that way? You follow? Walk properly. You tell me too. So it's a kind of interrelationship. And that perhaps is affection. Is perhaps the thing called love. Now, to come from the general to the particular, does it exist here? Are you shaking your head because the hair is in your eyes, or do you disagree? If it doesn't, or if it does, can we create it? Together, not we create and you join. Together, all of us create such a school where the teacher and the student are in a relationship in which each is concerned about the other. Both are learning, right, to put everything in its right place. Can we do this here? If we cannot, then what is it that's preventing us?
Disorder. Disorder.
But what is preventing us?
The levels.
So that means what? That I'm merely an ordinary teacher. Because I'm here to just get $100 or $200 or $50 more than somewhere else. Then you won't create a school. I mean, you'll create an ordinary school like everybody else, but you won't create the real kind of school, real kind of education. Education implies not only learning mathematics, history and physics and biology, but also learning about yourself, about everything in life. Now, can we create a place like that here? Will you help us to do it? Both at your own home and here. So that there is no division between home and here. You know, we are in California at Ohio. They're trying to bring the parents into this. You understand? The parents need education, right? This kind of education, as well as the teacher, as well as yourself. So it's a three-party affair: parents, teachers, and you. That's what they're trying to do in California at Ohio. In Indian schools, there are 5 of them. This is almost impossible. For various economic, social, traditional, superstitious reasons. We've tried, but it's like fighting a dead weight. But it will take time, gradually, I hope. Something will. In Brockwood, it's different in England, where there are between 14 and 81, or not 81, 18 or 20. Now can we here, because we're just beginning, few of us, a small community, can we create such a school? Otherwise it's worth it. If we cannot create such school, stop it. Not worth it, not worth expending all your energy, money and worry and all the rest of it. Which means we all have in the same boat. You are not out of it. You have to talk to your parents. You have to be as interested as the others. We are. If the teachers are also with us. You see, this gives tremendous vitality, interest, energy. If you say, oh my God, it's a damn bore coming to class, teach mathematics because it's the same old stuff. And the students aren't interested and I have to compel them to be interested, oh goodness. It becomes an awful bore. I get tired, the teacher gets tired, you get tired, and you are glad to leave. And he's bored, and he says, oh, for goodness sake, I'm going to do yoga. I'm going out for a walk. Or I'm going to chase a girl, or a boy. You understand what I'm saying? So, it means to create such a school means that we are all working together to bring it about. You and the rest of us, the young and the old. Will you do it? Absolute silence. Will you do it? Huh? No, do it. When you do something, do it with all your heart and soul. Give your whole thing to it, not just yes today and tomorrow, for God's sake. You will have to give your life to this, not just, this is your life. So, will the grown-up people who are teachers here will do it?
I think they will.
Huh?
I think they will.
They will? What makes you say it? I'm delighted hearing, but what makes you say it?
Because I think they're already doing it.
Huh?
Because I think they are already doing it.
What? Putting everything in order?
Helping us put it.
And wait. Don't jump to things. Are they putting their own life in order as well as yours? Helping each other? I'm quite sure. Not deceive ourselves. You know, that's very easy. Say, yes, everything's in order. But that's like, you know, putting on a clean shirt without washing. Naturally, one can't talk about others, can one? But are you doing it? Am I doing it? If I am doing it, I'll help you to do it. I'll say, for God's sake, look, how marvelous way to live this way. I'll be full of enthusiasm, full of delight to show you. But if I'm not, then I'll talk about it. Then I'll be a terrible hypocrite. A sham, a thing that's not worth listening to. Once you see the principle of it, you understand? The truth of it, then everything comes right. But if you don't see it, then you're playing. I mean, it's only some kind of a loony, some kind of disoriented, neurotic, and he jumps out of the window, knowing he's going to kill himself. But if you are sane, healthy, you say, today you don't, even that thought doesn't occur to you. So in the same way, if you really see as a law in life, like gravity, that where there is no, where you haven't put everything in its proper place, it's like jumping out of the window. Perhaps that may be the motto of the school. No, I'm just joking, sorry. See, I've been doing this all my life. I've been doing it for 50 years. I have put everything. I won't tell you, I mean, it's absurd to say I have. No. So, to do exercise in its right time, right? I do yoga for an hour and a half every morning. Not just because it gives me fun to do it properly, to do it excellently, with grace, with a certain sense of elan. So I put exercise in its right place. And to do it with, grace. Do you know anything about yoga? Have somebody teaching? Yeah? Huh? Who's teaching?
David.
Who? Oh, you. And to have excellent brain. Right? To think very, very clearly. And you can think clearly only when it is objective, not personal. We say, my reactions, I think according to my way, according to my to think clearly, objectively, impersonally. Not according to my prejudice, my fixations, my conclusions, but and you cannot have an excellent brain if there is any kind of fear. Is that enough for this morning? Because I don't want to enter the question of fear because it's too complicated.